Let's study about forming comparative and superlative degrees of adjective. There are simple rules for forming comparatives and superlatives. Number one rule is that one syllable adjectives generally form the comparative by adding er and the superlative by adding est. For example, if we see soft, S-O-F-T, adjective, softer, the softest, cheap, cheaper, the cheapest, sweet, sweeter, the sweetest, thin, thinner, the thinnest. Means in comparative, we added ER, look here, soft, so ER, cheap, ER, added ER, cheaper, sweet, added ER, sweeter, ER with thinner, thin, and that become thinner. EST we added to soft the first, softest, cheapest, sweetest, thinnest. Spelling rules. Note that if a one syllable adjective ends in a single vowel letter followed by a single consonant letter, the consonant letter is doubled. For example, thin into THIN into thinner PHI double NER. We double the last letter and then add ER and EST. If an adjective ends in E, this is removed when adding ER and EST. For example, wide, wider, widest. If an adjective ends in a consonant followed by Y is replaced by I when adding ER and EST. For example, dry, dryer, you see D-R-I-E-R now. Driest, D-R-I-E-S-T, superlative degree. Now, two-syllable adjectives. Two-syllable adjectives which end in Y usually form the comparative by adding ER and the superlative by adding EST. Note the change of Y to I in the comparative and superlative will be occur. For example, lucky, luckier, changing Y into I and added ER, the luckiest, IEST. Pretty, prettier, prettiest. Tidy, tidier, the tidiest. In other, you can say that if any adjective comes to an end with Y, but before Y there is consonant, then Y will be changed into I and we add ER for comparative and EST for superlative. This is another definition for your understanding. Two-syllable adjective ending in EAD, ending in ED or ING or FUL or less, LESS. Always form the comparative with more and the superlative with the most. For example, worried, ED. More worried, the most worried. Boring, more boring, the most boring. Careful, FUL. Most careful, more careful, the most careful. Useless, more useless, the most useless. Now, three-syllable adjectives. Adjectives which have three or more syllables always form the comparative and superlative with more and the most. For example, dangerous, dangerous, more dangerous, the most dangerous. Difficult, more difficult, the most difficult. The only exceptions are some three-syllable adjectives which have been formed by adding the prefix un to another adjective, especially those formed from an adjective ending in Y. These adjectives can form comparatives and superlatives by using more or most or adding ER and EST. For example, unhappy, unhappier, the unhappiest, the most unhappy, the more unhappy. Now, irregular adjectives. Irregular adjectives will be changed from simple to comparative, comparative to superlative with the practice. For example, good, better, the best. Bad, worse, the worst. Far, farther or further, the farthest or the furthest. Use of comparatives. Comparatives are very commonly followed by them, and a pronoun or noun group in order to describe who the other person or thing involved in the comparison. For example, John is taller than me. I think that she is more intelligent than her sister. Other uses of comparatives. Comparatives are often qualified by using words and phrases such as much, a lot, far, a bit, little, slightly, etc. For example, you should go by train. It would be much cheaper. Could you be a bit quieter? I'm feeling a lot better. Do you have one that's slightly bigger? Two comparatives can be contrasted by placing the before them, indicating that a change in one quality is linked to a change in another quality. For example, the smaller the gift, the easier it is to send. The more stressed you are, the worse it is for your health. Two comparatives can also be linked with and to show a continuing increase in a particular quality. For example, the sea was getting rougher and rougher. Her illness was becoming worse and worse. He became more and more tired as the weeks went by. Use of superlatives. Like comparative, superlatives can be placed before nouns in the attributive position or occur after be and other linking verbs. For example, the most delicious chocolate cake I have ever eaten. Annabelle was the youngest. This restaurant is the best. As shown in the second two examples, superlatives are often used on their own if it is clear what or who is being compared. If you want to be specific about what you are comparing, you can do this with a noun or a phrase beginning with in or of, of. For example, Annabelle was the youngest child. Annabelle was the youngest of the children. This restaurant is the best in town. The opposites of comparatives and superlatives. We use the forms less, the opposite of comparative, more, and the least, the opposite of superlative, the most. Less is used to indicate that something or someone does not have as much of a particular quality as someone or something else. For example, this sofa is less comfortable. I have always been less patient than my sister. The least is used to indicate that something or someone has less of a quality than any other person or thing of its kind. For example, it is the least expensive way to travel. She was the least intelligent of the three sisters. That's all.